Ramble.
My man, welcome to Guilty Pleasures, the podcast that loves what it loves. Kelsey's looking at me like I'm crazy. You don't remember My Man, the greatest moment from this movie? Today we're talking about Zack Snyder's The Justice League, hashtag the Snyder Cut, mother boxes and daddy issues. There's a 4-hour movie to dive into, so let's just get into it. I'm Zach Kornfeld, joined by Kelsey Darragh and Garrick Bernard.
What's up, family? I'm excited to talk about this podcast. What is this called? What is the Justice League a part of?
The DC universe.
I'm so excited to talk about the DC universe.
Kelsey adorably knows so little about superhero culture, and it's been such a delight to watch her learn slowly but surely. But before we get into the Snyder Cut, we actually wanted to try something a little bit new today. We have, we're calling it a pleasure roundup. I had a pithier name. I forgot it. But basically what this is really quick hits of other things that we are enjoying in the pop culture sphere, guilty or otherwise. Kelsey, do you have one?
I'm really enjoying watching bad YouTubers get taken down by the internet. That's Jesus my pleasure. Christ.
Yeah, that's a pleasure. And there's a little bit of a guilt there too, right? Schadenfreude.
Someone's guilty.
Yeah, and just gonna piggyback off of that. I'm loving Last Chance U basketball. It's the exact same feeling. I feel so terrible.
Damn.
It's really good. Last Chance U is like, it's usually football. This is the first basketball season. Yeah. It is about East Los Angeles Community College. And it's phenomenal.
What about you, Zach?
Yeah, I've been jamming out to a real guilty pleasure. Look, I just want to totally discredit myself to any Zack Snyder fans listening before we even get started. I love the new Justin Bieber album. I know that it's cringy as fuck. I know he has an MLK interlude in it, which is like totally head-scratchingly, unforgivably just what?
It just does the Martin Luther, the dream speech. I have a dream speech. Does it not?
It's a different
Who told him he could do that?
The Martin Luther King Jr.'s family, his
his
daughter.
Career. Who told him he could do that? Nobody. But he
MLK
did it
Jr.'s
anyway.
daughter gave him permission, praised him for it. I don't understand. Okay. And by the way, it goes from his speech about like if there's injustice anywhere, it's a threat to justice anywhere, into a song about how much Bieber loves his wife. But you know what? It's a fucking bop of a song. Sue me. I don't know, man.
I mean, isn't that really also weird. The Justice League's like theme mantra? Injustice to justice, or was that MLK?
No.
You mean that wasn't Zack Snyder?
Oh my God.
Justice League, they're all about it.
Are you saying that Zack Snyder gave that speech or should be credited for that speech? Is that
don't I recall the Justice League giving some justicey speech? Batman is the MLK of the Justice League.
Yeah, that's what we're trying
to say. He believes in justice.
Oh, God.
I had a dream.
I think he just believes it.
I had a dream.
Please don't do this.
Okay, you're like literally listening from someone who thought those flying bugs was literally Ant-Man the entire time.
Okay. That's what you thought. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have so much to dive into. Yeah. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Look, there is the movie, and then there is the world around the movie. We actually weren't going to do this on the podcast, but we were texting about it so much that Kelsey just assumed it was the movie for this week. And about 2 hours into it, we realized the mistake. And we're like, you're so far into this process. We need to reward your watching efforts.
Yeah.
And I got to give it to you guys for convincing me, because there's no fucking way, and I feel like the listeners should know this by now, I don't like superhero movies, but I fucked with Wonder Woman, and what got me was, Zach, you told me it was a Wonder Woman movie, and I was like, okay, I'll fall for it, and I'm so glad I did, because you guys, I fucking loved this movie.
You loved it. I think you loved it the most.
Oh my God.
I think it was so fun.
The most?
And guess what? I don't fucking care. I have zero stakes and emotions. I just thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, I am right there with you. Fucking loved it. Loved not every minute of it, but like I loved most things about it.
There were a lot of minutes.
It was a lot of minutes, and I think it's hard because the movie is 4 hours long. And excuse my stumbling, but because it's 4 hours long, it's kind of impossible.
Excuse my stumbling,
whatever.
That was funny. You didn't even mean it.
So it's too much to be perfect. You know, there's always going to be some guilt in a 4-hour movie. There's no way.
Even after seeing the original, though.
4-hour movie. Even after seeing the original, this was perfect. Compared to the original, this was a beautiful piece of literature.
Yeah.
This was a masterpiece in comparison. But good God.
I didn't realize I had seen the original, but here's how much I didn't give a fuck about that movie. The way I found out was I went down to deep YouTube Justice League dive of like the comparisons between the old one and the new one, and I didn't realize that I had seen the old one because the villain is a completely different motherfucker.
It's a completely different dude.
In this one, he's literally a zipper with a fucking callus for a face, and in the other one, he was like an alien with a kilt on, and I was like, wait, I remember that bitch. And then I was like, oh my God, I did see the original. It was so bad I didn't care. And this was a pleasure.
Right.
I'm going to give a synopsis for the movie, but I also first want to give a synopsis just like of how this movie came to be. And before we dive in, I want to say to any DC stans out there, we are not pros on this. We're just three people having a good time. Look, we're the three people that thought Wonder Woman's land was pronounced the mascara. So that's what kind of podcast we're in for.
Still very much is.
Yeah.
But the Justice League movie came out a few years ago. Zack Snyder, and feel free to jump in here, guys, at any point. Zack Snyder was removed from the movie / left the movie after the untimely death of his daughter. There was a lot of behind the scenes, let's call it disagreements between him and Warner Brothers. And so instead of finishing the movie, Joss Whedon was brought on to complete it. Now, since then, there has been tons of claims of abuse and misconduct from Joss Whedon, and the movie that did come out...
One of them being cutting out all of the people of color in the movie, but 100% who cares? It's like it doesn't even...
Add it to his tab.
Yeah, I mean, Ray Fisher Jr., that's his name, right? Yeah. Ray Fisher really led the charge in calling out Joss Whedon's... mistreatment of cast and abuse of him and the other people on set. But the movie was hated by critics, hated by fans, and as soon as the movie came out, there was this drumbeat, this fan clamoring to hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And now, what is it? 4 years later, finally, after fan pleading, HBO Max, realizing that they have a new platform to promote, brought back Zack Snyder. Making that money. Brought back Zack Snyder, restored his original vision, and then some. They allowed him to reshoot new scenes. And what you have is this totally insane what if experiment in real life, where what if Zack Snyder was allowed to make the movie that he dreamed of? What if he got to digitally redo and take out all Joss Whedon stuff? What if he got to make a 4-hour superhero movie? And what we are left with is Zack Snyder's Justice League.
These were, when you're talking about like reshooting, he barely reshot any of like the scenes that were there. Yes. I think he did like 2 or 3 new scenes or whatever, shot new scenes. Everything else was already there. This is like stuff that they were just like, no, cut this all the way the fuck down.
That just goes to show like what a vision of a director means to a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Because like, fuck you, Joss Whedon, for like fucking up that what could have been.
Or I think this was more like less on Joss Whedon. I don't know. Of course he did like the abusive stuff and whatnot, but like more so on his own production company not believing in him.
It's very clear the studio and Zack Snyder had very different visions of what this movie should be.
How the fuck did he get this IP then to rework?
Oh, Joss Whedon? Or
No, Zack Snyder. How did he get this fucking opportunity back? Like if Warner Brothers,
it was fervent. It was relentless. It was at times bordering on toxic from the fandom.
On toxicity.
But I'm
gonna find your family if you don't release that fucking Snyder Cut. Like shit like that.
Whoa. I just have to imagine if like there was so much disagreement to begin with. This has never been done before. Like I can't think where this has ever been done before. And big major studios, IP, things like that. This is basically shitting on their first decision. And for Joss Whedon to have gone it down in a flame of his own fucking falsities, like that was probably beautiful timing. Like when that happened to Joss, they were probably like, okay, fucking put out the date. We're doing it. We've been working on it, but this is like it. Let's do it.
Garrick, I imagine you have the best memory of the original. Can you speak to some of the changes that were made in the theatrical cut that originally went out? I know they totally cut down Ray Fisher's part.
Ray Fisher was not in the movie. That's pretty much. He was just there to be Cyborg. Oh. He's Cyborg.
Who I didn't know his name for the entire movie because he never says his name. He was Costco Iron Man.
He didn't have like a superhero name. And this is one of the things that I like that superhero movies are doing. They don't really name themselves. They just kind of come to be, where it's just like, oh, he just got his powers. So he doesn't really have a name yet. He is a cyborg. So I guess we call him Cyborg.
So they did a lot of like
still
planting.
Dealing. Yeah. He was still dealing with the trauma of dying essentially and being brought back to life by the
losing
mother
his mom,
box, which gives life, which is why
a fucking metaphor. And I'm so glad I can't wait to talk about it. But we're still on pleasures, right?
Well, we're still.
Oh no, you're talking about the
synopsis yet.
Right.
Well, I know the differences because I watched the YouTube like frame by frame. Like the biggest addition was the battle scene between the Mascarian Amazonians, the Atlanteans, the man, and the underworld, bad place people.
From the people from Apocalypse, Dark Side.
Maybe we'll do this. So his movie is split into chapters, kind of so that you can digest it as you want. And maybe this too will split into chapters. Chapter 1, the synopsis. I mean, look, this movie could basically just be bad guy coming, superheroes fight him. But a little more specifically, following the death of Superman, Batman travels the world to rally a team of superheroes together to save the fate of humanity. And a big bad guy named
Thanos, who looks exactly like Thanos.
What the fuck is his name? Not Darkseid.
Zipper Man.
Fuck, I'm screwing this up. DC
Wolfgang
fans are gonna be
Puck.
furious.
Steppenwolf.
Oh god.
Steppenwolf. Okay, thank you.
How the fuck did I get that?
Steppenwolf is a big bad alien trying to prove his allegiance to Darkseid by gathering the 3 mother boxes, which have been awakened by the cries of Superman's death. Once he gets the 3 boxes, he will have the power to destroy the world. So you've got Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, and The Flash joining together for the first time to save humanity. This is Zack Snyder's The Justice League. Let's just launch into some pleasures, yeah?
Oh my God. So this is both guilt and a pleasure. I loved how long this movie was. I loved it. It was when everybody talks about like less is more, subtlety or whatever, and like let's just pull out all of the things. He was just like, what if we just left it in? What if we just kept it felt like an experiment to how many scenes in movies we usually write but then have to get pulled out. And he was just like, what if we let's just put it back in? Because with all of those subtleties and all of that stuff where it's just like we just let scenes breathe. And I love like a lot of Apatow movies do this where they're just like, well, in a rom-com, the movie will usually stop like this. What if we kept it going for a little bit? But in this movie, when it's just like we don't have to have characters that just do purely setup. We can just have them living their lives, and it makes it feel more like people playing dress up who have powers and are just trying to do their best, you know, because they have lives, they have other things that they have to do, you know, like if there was a scene of Superman doing laundry, I would have been like, yeah, that fits.
There was a scene of him doing laundry in the end.
And side note, I wanted him to just, instead of like seeing the black Superman suit, I wanted him to see like his dad's jacket or something like that, and he fought in his dad's jacket. Who passed in the last film? But
so nice.
That would have been so cool.
Just Superman wearing like a rugged bomber jacket.
A rugged bomber jacket, yeah. His adopted father, not his biological one.
There's something fun about the length of the movie that makes you feel like you're lost in it. I watched this over 2 days, and I kind of just kept returning to it, and I got to a point where I didn't remember a time where I was not
watching the movie.
Like, I just was like, I don't know what my life was before this. I don't know what it'll be after this. I've always been here.
Yeah.
We made the mistake of like starting it on a lunch break, just being like, oh, we'll just like start it, thinking it was 4 parts long, not realizing it was 6 parts long. And then I was like, wait, is it 6 hours? Like, I was very confused. It was nighttime. The sun was up. We were only in part 3. I texted you guys that it was ending, but it was really only part 4.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure, though, because I feel like the movie going experience was doubled. And like, we fucking love movies. We make a podcast about movies, like having a double feature almost, but really good. Yeah, like more movie. It was nice.
Because of how long this movie was and how like breathy it was, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. It felt like reading a comic book. It felt like reading a comic book series of like a short, like, you know, like a 10-issue series where you're just like, okay, well, let me just knock this out real quick. And then you look up and 6 hours have passed and you're like, oh, fuck. Oh, this was great. But this took a lot of time, you know?
The guilt here on the other end of it, though, is there is something uniquely infuriating about being an hour 15 in a movie and being like, oh, now the plot's fucking starting. It was like, like once the Flash showed up, and we'll talk about him, I was on board. I could have lived in the middle forever. But I do wish I could go back to the beginning and just be like, just please start the movie. Just stop.
Okay.
Just stop. Just stop introducing people. Just give me.
No, I have to disagree with you there. As someone who like doesn't know the universe, who doesn't know really the characters, who like barely remembers Wonder Woman, even though we just watched the movie last month.
Yeah.
What a pleasure that I really liked too, and I think this is part of the length, is how much darker this was, not only color-wise, but content-wise.
Literally darker, and the whole movie takes place at night.
It was.
Yes, I think like there was a poppiness to the Joss Whedon version that just made it so fucking forgettable.
It was just a Marvel movie.
And
exactly
what you're talking about with the length is like he gave those characters time to mourn, to be sad, to not be on the go on a mission. And I really enjoyed that, especially as someone who had no fucking clue what was going on and who anyone was. I told you guys, like my entire first hour and 30 was me going, who's that? What's he do? Who's that? Is that Iron Man?
Right.
Who is that? Is that Ant-Man? That's a bug? What?
It is decidedly not Marvel. Like, right? Like, one, it is a unique movie.
Yes.
The movie begins with Superman's death cry, but it is as far from a Marvel movie as you can get.
But the ultimate pleasure of the movie is that you can feel that Zack Snyder was in pain during the entire movie.
Wow.
Like, the whole thing was about grief and loss and despair and what you do past that. Cyborg lost his own life, and he's trying to deal with and that.
His mom.
Superman.
And his dad.
And his mom, all of that grief, his dad. Superman died and came back to life, and he's just like, I don't know what this is anymore. Batman lost he started the cause of the death of Superman, which is like the death of hope for the world.
Right.
Diana, Wonder Woman lost like her Themysciran family or whatever. All of like the warriors that died because she wasn't on the island. it was just so full of grief. Like even in moments where it could have been sick and super cool, like you could feel like Zack Snyder was sad. Like the scene where the Flash saves the girl in traffic.
Incredible.
That could have been such a beautiful fucking scene. It could have been like
10 minutes shorter.
X-Men movies. 10 minutes. Yeah, no, it could have been 10 minutes shorter. It could have been like just him running real fast. All of the other like quippy scenes that they did. He is the comic relief. But in this scene, he was just like, let me legitimately lay this girl to rest.
Yes.
And you feel that his daughter died. And it shit sucks,
Dude, Garrick, you are hitting me hard with what you're saying. I'm like, I am on board.
It's so fucking, it's pure fucking direction. There's no other way to explain it.
I knew this movie was way darker when Zipper Villain yeeted a fucking horse. When you fucking hurt an animal, bitch, like that is like a common rule. Like we don't fucking fuck up the horses. You don't look at Game of Thrones, look at literally any movie ever. You don't fuck with the horses.
Yeah.
This bitch killed multiple horses.
Hit the fuck out of the horse. Just fucking like smacked it over there, and it's neighing, it's yelling Seabiscuit, all of that shit. The horse was gone.
No. I was like, oh no. Okay.
Right.
This is a different
While we're talking about Ezra Miller, this might be a good time to talk about the characters in this movie. And what I think is genuinely a triumph of this. You know, look, we're living in this weird timeline where like the Aquaman movie has come out and now this is after the fact, we're going back. Yeah. But this was the introduction of the Flash and Aquaman and Cyborg had such a troubled path to getting to the big screen and were such a joke. And they fucking rule in this movie.
Yeah.
The Flash is the greatest.
The Flash,
and Aquaman is
so
the
funny.
coolest motherfucker that has ever lived. They both deserve their own moments. Let's talk about them separately. Holy shit.
Right.
Ezra Miller,
Jesus
I would
Christ.
die for you.
Ezra Miller, I've been in love with Ezra Miller since Perks of Being a Wallflower.
How could you not be?
Oh man, who is this dude?
Throwback.
Yeah.
I want to hit you with this math equation. In this movie, Ezra Miller is if Justin Long and Tilda Swinton had a hot, quirky Jewish baby.
100% nailed it.
Right?
In it.
You're so not used to seeing him as the comic relief either, but you know he's capable of doing it, and I feel like they just let him loose.
Because he's a phenomenal actor. Yeah. He's like Tom Hanks on SNL, where you're just like, oh no, he can act, so of course he can be funny, you know?
Yeah. He was like the comic relief exactly when you needed it, but not fucking corny. Because I feel like these superhero movies use comedy in the fucking corniest way, where you're just like, did I really laugh this whole movie? That motherfucker made me laugh.
Okay, if you're trying to do some backhanded Marvel slander, I'm not going to allow it. I'm going to stay. I'm just going to put my foot down. I think I am. And I'm not going to allow it.
This movie was a knockoff of Marvel. I'll just say that. That's going to be in my guilt. But it was a fucking copy paste, bitch.
Oh, disagree.
So I don't agree with you at all. Like I don't. So I think that the Marvel movies do a really good job of having of like taking comic books, you know, taking the characters that you love, putting them on screen, and it's like, here's what it would be like if somebody actually had this power, or blah blah blah, and they can swing around and blah blah blah. And then this movie, not the DC movies, because the DC movies are ass, but this movie made it feel like, okay, what if we took like one of the darker, like what if we took one of the more fucked up comic books and just took that tone and put it on screen and just saw what happened. There's a comic called Mr. Miracle that is written by Tom King, and he is a new god or blah blah blah, and he was raised on Apokolips, and he was raised by Darkseid, but he is from their rival planet, all this other stuff. And the whole comic is just about how he's suicidal and that he has to deal with the brevity of the trauma he dealt with while being raised on Apokolips and now being on Earth and being a superhero or whatever. But it's like that type of shit is what comics normally are for me. You know, like those are the comics that I fucking read and I'm just like, fuck yes. There's one called Bedlam about like a serial killer who was like reformed and all this shit. And I'm like, hell yeah, I love this type of shit. But then the Marvel movies come out and it's just like, yeah, this is cool because it's Spider-Man on camera and he's swinging around and that would be sick to watch him just go down New York and be like a normal kid. But like the tone of this and the tone of all of these are like, it represents a different side of
So there's a writer that I follow who I think nailed it, Adam Very, who actually used to be a coworker of ours. Adam Very, who writes for Variety, he said that in Marvel, these are recognizably human and flawed characters. But in Snyder's DC universe, these are gods. These are gods grappling with the power of humanity. And it's a totally different thing. I think that there's something to be said against that. But it's also very unique to what we've seen in superhero movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Mark, fucking The Flash reverse time in probably one of the most beautiful scenes at the end.
Yeah.
Went back. They failed at the end, first off, which I fucking love.
You watch Cyborg's face blow up, like the flesh rip from his eyeball blast towards camera, reversed.
I told Jared that's exactly what my chronic pain feels like. I said that, and then all the Zipper villains' chins, you know how they just had like an axe wound down the middle? I was like, oh, that's the best way to describe what it feels.
So you saw yourself represented in media. That's great.
I've never felt so seen.
You gotta love it.
Okay, carry on.
You gotta love it. But yeah, you saw, back to the gods stuff. You saw the Flash reverse time by like essentially running quicker than reality. You know, like that's like
you love time shifting
that's crazy shit. I love time shifting shit. And I love that he saw the universe and he was just like, all right, if I'm going to go, I got to go now. And he just started running. And I was like, fuck yes.
I was like, time reversal. Rick is going to love this.
It's time travel and it's Flash from The Incredibles. It's your two favorite things.
Yeah.
It's my two favorite things. Somebody running quick, man.
This was
Somebody
made
moving
for you.
fast.
Zach, did you say if you liked this or not? Because I feel like me and Rick were like so pro. I don't know where you stand right now.
I liked it. I can't say I loved it. I respect the fuck out of it. And it's like, I will never watch this again. It's not, I didn't, again, I for the first hour, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is so gratuitous. This is so self-indulgent. By the way, the movie is in 4:3. I wanted to scream. I was like, are you fucking, okay, all right, Zack Snyder, we get it. We get it.
Okay,
You're
so I don't
artful.
understand the significance.
Why did he do
I don't understand the significance.
I can tell you. I can tell you why. I can tell you why. Because I watched the deep dives. He didn't want to do the typical landscape because that was invented in cinema because most movement happens across the screen. He wanted to do vertical because most of the characters' literal movement are vertical. They're flying up in the air. They're coming down on Earth. And he said he wanted people's attention to be center and not I thought that was really clever. Not so full of himself the way I thought it was.
That is so
He
dumb.
thinks of everything.
No, I refuse. No, it's like, hey, I'm gonna put a movie on TV and I'm on a streaming service. I'm gonna make it feel less cinematic. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it on an old box TV. No, I can't. I refuse to give kudos to that. But yes, the movie won me over, and I look. There's some fucking dope stuff in this. Who else wants to drop a? I mean, can we talk about Jason Momoa?
Can we fucking please? Jesus fucking Christ! Those abs, those tattoos, those eyes, the hair, the bulge. That was my pleasure. They had the best bulges I've ever seen ever. They weren't dramatic. They weren't gratuitous. They were just fucking right. Especially Aquaman's bulge.
Welcome to our next segment. Kelsey
exists.
ranks the Justice League bulges. Kelsey, I would love just to give a quick rundown. What was the bulge ranking in this movie?
Aquaman number 1, although I do have a
course.
little bit of gripe with him because, like, where did he keep getting t-shirts from and why is he littering so many t-shirts? That's my one, like, he's a litter bug, especially in the ocean.
They wind up in the ocean. He picks them up. It's
okay,
fine.
whatever. Okay, so it's definitely number 1, Aquaman. Number 2 is Ezra Miller. He's supposed to be a little bit, like, younger than the other guys, so his is a little bit more, like, V-cut, not so just, like, bulky machine looking. Then we've got Superman.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Huh.
Do you think that the costume designers designed the bulge based on the age of the character? So that's not just what they're naturally
100%.
packing. The costume designer built in bulge.
Yes. And I'm about to tell you why Superman and Batman's were my least favorite. Because you don't need a bulge in Superman's because his costume is tights. So like they added a bulge and I was like, oh, fucking okay, we get it. You're a dude, you have both. And then Batman's my least favorite because that bulge was way too motherfucking big. And I'm just saying, listen, Ben Affleck, you barely did anything the entire movie. You didn't deserve that bulge. You didn't do enough.
Oh, another pleasure is that Batman realized how human he was. He
Useless.
is just a dude. He is the guy who can he felt more like a butler to the gods of the movie rather than like an actual, which is what I don't really care for whenever I see Justice League movies. It's just like, yeah, you're the smartest one out of everybody here, but you are powerless essentially.
He was the strength moving forward. He kept the gang going. He was the morale.
He kept the gang going. He was a leader. He kept everybody on task and whatnot.
I can't believe it.
Nice.
I enjoyed Ben Affleck. I thought he did a totally good job as I know. I don't want to like him.
Great.
So
He just is like he's just
Batman.
like, okay, Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne is just a tired guy who's just fucking over it. And I like to imagine in this world that Bruce Wayne also has paparazzi, like taking photos of him fumbling with too many Dunkin' Donuts cups. Like, I'm picturing that this is just Ben Affleck as Batman. And it worked for me.
He was very depressed, very useless. Truly, name one thing he did, because all I saw was he just kept showing up in scenes and saying things, and I'm like, why are you here?
But that's what would happen. Like you're just a dude. You're just a dude. All you can do is take them to where they need to go and fund the project.
It's never gonna look normal to me to see.
I
Ben
do
Affleck
have
as
a pleasure
fucking
related to something that Ben Affleck did in this movie. Absolute pleasure, huge pleasure, blew me away pleasure. Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot got chemistry. Those characters are about to fuck, and I believed it.
Oh yeah,
I was on board.
You think they were gonna
touched his hand
fuck?
for a second.
What do you mean they were not? They were. Their hands touched and they had a little cute clumsy moment.
She can't fucking fuck him. Her heart's with Aviation Boy.
I'm telling you, in the 3-movie plan, they were gonna kiss by the end, and Batman was gonna sacrifice himself. 1,000%.
Well, spoiler alert: she's dead in the future, and it's his fault, right?
On the Infinite Earths. So like when Flash ran back in time, he split time or whatever, and so there were different like timelines and all that shit. So on one of the timelines, Superman goes bad, Lois Lane dies.
That's what that ending scene was?
He's stricken with grief. That's what the ending scene. Here's my biggest now I'm not gonna stop saying biggest anything. Here's a
you got a big fat mood on this video. I'm not gonna lie. You got a lot of big
I'm sorry.
moods. No, it's good. It's nice to see you talking more than me for once.
my guilt, one of the guilts on it is the epilogue in general. Where it's just like, we know that the movies weren't gonna come, so don't put it in here. You're not
Wait, they're not gonna make more?
Of course. Not in this universe.
What?
No. All of those actors are pretty much done. They're going to do a Flash movie, but I don't think they're doing like a Snyder Verse, which he thought was going to happen.
Hold the fuck on.
Okay, so just for context, the end of the movie, like, very suddenly flashes forward. I don't know how many years. It doesn't cut to black. Just all of a sudden, we're in this dystopian future. You have Jared Leto as the Joker, having a scene with Ben Affleck's Batman, and people have died. Lois Lane is dead. Superman is evil. It's setting up like, whoa, what the fuck is going to happen? And Kelsey has just learned that is a tease to something we'll never see.
Why would they fucking do that? I'm so fucking invested.
Yeah, he had a plan. He had a plan for like 5 more movies apparently.
And why can't that still happen?
Because the movie was a financial disaster that came out 3-4 years ago. This is just an art experiment at this point. This is not.
Yeah.
But if it does well.
Yeah, but honestly, how well can it do on a streaming? Like, it's not going to do that well enough to rewrite history. Right.
But these characters are historical. Like, don't they have to be made? Like, don't their stories have to fan out?
So we've got Robert Pattinson playing Batman. We've moved on. Someone else played Joker.
We've moved on. I haven't. I'm just in. I'm just getting here.
See, if this was the first movie of the series, if this was the first DCEU movie, everybody would have been fine, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think that's why fucking even tease all that confusion of what it is. That's a guilt for me, dog.
That's a guilt. That's why it was annoying. Where I'm just like, you're not gonna do these things, so don't talk
fucking
about
put
them.
It in.
End it with fucking Superman opening his shirt, and then we're out, man. We don't have to do.
Yeah. Can I give another pleasure?
Hell yeah.
About Aquaman? I know we kind of like didn't come back to that.
We didn't talk nearly enough about Aquaman.
But I love that Aquaman's name is Arthur. The fuck? What a nerdy ass fucking
it's such a sweet name.
Sweet for such a big boy.
Yeah, I love that he was an alcoholic. I know that's not
it's real.
The best. It's real.
I feel myself seen.
Right. If you're a salty dog, you're drinking. You're drinking. It's fine.
He was a lot meaner than in the Aquaman movie.
Yeah. He was meaner than everybody else. And like there was this one big difference that people pointed out where how mean he was to Cyborg in the original one and how like he felt for him in this one where he's just like dude just lost his dad. You think you want him.
It was a nice moment.
Suicidal right now.
Yeah,
it was a really nice moment.
That was nice.
Well, and again, like we talk, I'm repeating myself. Like Aquaman, you had to go. So this was Aquaman's introduction to the big screen, and to make Aquaman not just cool, but the coolest, most badass character in this movie. Like any Aquaman jokes that we grew up with, gone. That moment, the scene where he walks out to the ocean and like Zack's ocean is choppy, dangerous, just smashing waves on him. It is the coolest moment that you could ever ask for a character.
Zach, how are you not going to talk about the moment where the very first moment when Bruce Wayne shows up in his like Montserrat, like $3,000 snow coat and boots, and Aquaman's in like a fucking wife beater. Oh, we can't say that anymore. So a tank top. And he goes out to the water to like jump back in. And like 6 blonde bitches are orgasming through their vocal cords, just like, and then one girl stops, picks up his shirt that he threw on the ground and sniffs it, and then comes back with this like alto vibrato, even like his scent gave her an orgasm, a nose orgasm.
So this, I think, goes back to the gods thing, is that I think all of those little towns that they go to worship
them.
Oh,
they think he's a god.
It's like fucking Jesus to them.
So
checks
like
out. Okay.
It's more so setting up that like the Flash was a new god, Cyborg was a new god, where everybody was just like, you have unlimited power, whereas Batman not so much. Superman, Aquaman were all worship.
I was gonna say you saw the difference in intelligence when that they were gods and we were merely fucking humans when we had to hide our mother boxes. We got the Amazonians put it in fucking steel that you can't even break through and in like a fucking structure. Then you got the fucking Atlanteans who give it to a octopus, a giant octopus. Like, yes, bitch, so original.
Kraken.
And the humans put it about 3 inches under some dirt crumbs. They're kind of like, I hope nobody sees it here. And I'm like, well, that's why we die sooner than you other ones.
I saw that I was seeing it coming, like when everybody was doing
Burying
their thing.
their
I was
shit.
like, what are the humans gonna do? I think they're just gonna bury it. And then I saw them burying it. I was like, oh, we're embarrassed.
They literally
Jesus Christ.
they threw it like it was coffee grounds on top of the box. They were kind of like, nah, I hope he doesn't find it.
Right.
Like a dog could find that accidentally.
Yeah.
Anyways, it makes sense. Their gods were merely man, and Bruce Wayne really showed his barely manness.
He's just a dude. He was a glorified taxi driver.
Do you want to talk about the mother boxes?
Yes, it's a pleasure because it's a metaphor for a pussy. And you finger the boxes to get information. It's a metaphor.
The villain, the entire movie, is just sniffing people and going, the scent of the mother box is on you.
Like, this was a movie for men without fathers who have the Oedipus complex of their mothers. I mean, it just shone through so brightly.
Okay, that's also, I clocked, there's so many daddy issues in this movie. I referenced in the beginning, but everyone,
Arthur,
the villain is trying to get the approval of his father. Aquaman has an absent father.
Well, it's not his dad. It's just like a guy. It's
everyone.
I literally made a list in my notes of dad to God ratio. And this is a movie for dads in jails, dead dads that sacrificed for their kids, adopted dads, and Amazonian dads. But I don't think they exist. So where the fuck are the Amazonian dads?
But between daddy issues and the mother box, I feel like he was trying to say something, and I just don't know what it was.
Right.
But it was there. It was all over the place. It was impossible to miss. Pleasure, Ray Fisher is phenomenal in this movie. The guy who plays Cyborg.
He got cut out the original and then complained about it because he's like, yo, this was supposed to be like my big break, dog. You just cut me out of
He's the heart
most of
and
the movie.
soul of this movie.
He is the heart of the backbone of the movie.
His character journey is like the most redemptive too. Like, he goes from being a sourpuss to lovable hero.
And then also like embracing his disability, right? Like, he is someone who lost his body and at the end says, I am not broken. Like, that is powerful. Aww. It is cool. It is moving. Yeah. He's great in it. And like, really bums me out that he was not given his moment the way that he deserved to when this first came out.
Right.
I hope this gives him reprise.
He's also like the newest superhero. So he's the one that has to learn the most from them, from their sacrifices. So it's just super stupid that they just took him out of the movie and they're just like, oh, well, you're in it now. You're a fucking Justice Leaguer, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool.
So his whole backstory wasn't in the original because he has this football scene that is so dope. It is like he's just juking people left and right. Though I did have a problem with that he is a superstar athlete and a very talented hacker. Like, let us nerds have something. Don't make the star athlete also super intelligent. It's not. And so hot, not fair.
So hot,
he gives a woman $100,000 just because he like pities her. That's some goat shit. Yeah. He's a dope character. Yeah. I love him.
Yeah. No, he was by far, like I said, the most actualized, and maybe it is because it was the first time we got to see his backstory and stuff. Because I didn't really care about Batman. I knew Wonder Woman was going to be fine because I knew she had 1984. Superman, couldn't care less. What's his deal?
You know, Superman historically is kind of maligned for being a boring character because he is so like just impervious to anything.
He has no stakes.
But there is one moment in this where Superman fucking blasts down and looks at the villain and goes, not impressed. And then he blows ice on his axe and shatters it. It is the coldest, coolest thing I have ever, like, that to me is like top 5, top 3 best superhero moments ever put to film. It like gave me chills.
I don't think this is correct, but it's almost the reverse of when Thor threw his axe at Thanos and hit his shoulder.
See, it's the same fucking movie. Thank you. You're just proving my point.
I like this scene where the Flash is running at Superman after he's trying to regain his memories and he doesn't know who's attacking him or whatever.
Oh my God, this was so good.
Yeah, it was in both movies, but I still liked it where he runs at him, and then he's just like, "Oh, nobody moves in this time dimension because I'm moving so quick." And then he turns and looks at him, and he's like, "Oh fuck," because he can move as fast as him.
It's just Superman's eyes, just they're frozen. Yeah. Everyone's frozen, and just his eyes go. They turn to the right, and Barry immediately knows, "Oh, I am so fucked."
And then they fight in a time warp. Yeah. Okay, that was my last pleasure. That was my last pleasure.
And then what this movie did a little bit of, I wish it had done more, and I wish that Marvel did this more. They did in the first Avengers, combo moves. Seeing people with different superpowers work together is so thrilling and satisfying. The one I'm thinking of is in their first big team up. They're in this sewer system that's not guarded. I don't know. It's kind of a sloppy setup, but who cares? Gal Gadot is flying down, reaching for her sword, and the Flash runs around really fast and just goes boop and boops her sword up to her.
That was cute.
And she catches it. It's so fun to see superpowers compounded on top of each other. I want more of that always and forever.
Can we switch to pleasure or guilt? I feel like we did so many pleasures.
Hit me, Kelsey.
When do they sleep? This movie was like a month long. Never saw anybody sleep. I saw Lois Lane sleep.
Yeah.
I saw Ben Affleck at the end after everything's fixed. He's in a lake house in a bed. But when do they sleep? If Bruce Wayne is just a man.
Since they're not sleeping, I also wish that this whole movie did not take place at nighttime. I think action scenes look good in the daytime too. There's no reason that it always has to be dark and cloudy.
There was some dusk in there.
There was a daytime bank. There was a daytime bank robbery,
the bank scene.
Which was also one of my guilts.
The bank robbery scene is so funny.
When Gal Gadot, literally all the people after she saved him, the people are all like, "Oh my God, we just went through like the most traumatic situation you can go through." And this is her line. Literally, this is her line, word for word. "It's all good." She literally is like, "Don't worry, I've saved you. It's all good." And I pause and I go, "Did she just tell them it's all good?" It is not all good. It is very much. I would be so fucked in therapy for so long, man.
They're going to be living with the fallout of this moment for years to come.
There were like a lot of like you guys talking about the crashing wave scene. I did not like that scene at all.
Really?
It was a little long.
So cool.
It was a little long.
It was a little long. If it just crashed and he was just there, that was one of those moments where I was just like, this is too much.
Yeah.
It's gratuitous.
The on the noseness of it kind of got on my nerves. The moment where she's like looking over the bank while standing on Lady Justice, being Lady Justice. I was like, get the fuck out of here,
also,
bro.
me going, why is the Statue of Liberty in London? And I'm like into astrology, so I should know that the Libra, whatever.
You, Garrick, were motioning, but can you tell us about her little spider crawl when she's blocking a bajillion bullets?
You thought that was bad? You thought that was a guilt?
Yes.
Fuck you.
I thought a lot of like the speed motion was like the feeling of speed like was great in that, but like just seeing someone move their hands that quickly, it just felt so much. She was blocking all of the bullets that somebody was shooting at her with an automatic weapon.
Here's what I will say. I think we need to go back in time and apologize to Wonder Woman 1984, which for what I now realize is a very grounded take on this character.
Yes.
Because Wonder Woman is wildin' in this movie.
Yeah, she's going crazy.
I felt like it was a pleasure. I didn't say it because I wasn't sure that I was confident in it, but now you've made me feel confident in it. That maybe a pleasure was, I believed this version of Wonder Woman. Like she actually was
somehow
strong.
Did too. I agree.
And
you're right.
And a leader and like a decision maker. She was a doer.
Yeah.
I did prefer this version.
This version just didn't have like her weird
cocaine
relationship problems.
Yeah.
Like,
there was no cocaine in this one.
There was no cocaine in this one. Yeah.
It is, though, like, Zack Snyder 101, the end of that bank scene, there's this little girl who's like, can I be like you when I grow up? And then Gal Gadot leans down.
You can't.
No, I'm part God, bitch.
I would have loved it. She was just like, no, actually, you're not Themyscira. You cannot be like me. Jesus Christ. You can be a doctor. You can be any of those things. You can't be a god, dog. I'm sorry. That's the one thing you can't.
You can maybe block one bullet, but like 84, like I just
one
did,
bullet.
Good luck.
Yeah. You'll block one bullet and it'll hurt, but other than that,
you're you're doomed for a life of patriarchal disappointment, my friend. I hate to break it to you. Okay, another fucking guilt. Was this in the first one? Because I don't remember. Was this entire movie sponsored by Under Armour?
Oh my! It was sponsorships galore everywhere.
Yeah, Mercedes.
That's the only other one that really stuck out to me in an annoying fashion.
No, the biggest one for me, and to answer your question, I have to assume I don't remember the gratuitous product placement, but there's one scene, I wrote this down. There is no fucking way that Batman, Bruce Wayne, shaves with the same Gillette razor as me. They have a product close-up of, like, that is just the Schwick Quattro, whatever. They sell that for $20 at Christie's, okay? That is not...
Christie's, you're hitting us with the East Coast fucking lingo. Yeah. Christie's. Yeah. Half of our audience is going to be like, where?
I'm sorry. Going back to Pleasures for a second. This is in both movies. When Barry Allen gets into Bruce Wayne's car, and he's like, "Oh, you're Batman. What's your power?" I'm rich. I fucking love that. I love that shit so much.
I like how you did it in Batman's voice, even though he's as Bruce Wayne.
I'm rich.
No, guys, he just said I'm rich like a regular human.
Yeah.
Well, there are some genuinely wonderful character moments in this. Like, Bruce and Barry meeting is so fun. My favorite, I almost forgot to talk about it, is Alfred teaching Diana how to make tea. Like, you just have the butler scolding Wonder Woman about how, like, he's like, no, this is how you make tea. It's a very long scene. It does, like, there's no reason for it. That's the first thing that you cut, but it's so fun.
In that moment, like, first of all, this bitch was born at the beginning of time. She was there when
she can make tea
was fucking invented.
She can make tea.
And like, let's not mansplain Alfred or the fuck your name was how to make. I get the moment was not that, but it was not it for me. I was kind of like, Alfred's so likable, even though he has to call Bruce Wayne master, which I did send a text to the boys wondering if we were okay with that. I guess we are. Yeah, I just, that moment to me was overacted. I was like, fucking get it.
It's like making fun of the British people's, the Brits' obsession with tea and all that stuff.
Except Ted Lasso can do that. Ted Lasso does it perfectly.
Ted Lasso can fucking, oh my God.
That's my pleasure for this week. Okay, I have to give another guilt, and this is just maybe a personal preference because I do like that this movie was darker. I really preferred the color correction here. I really did like everything that they chose to do differently in terms of like aesthetic. Except, and maybe this is like just a overarching superhero note, I hate how much metal is involved in these movies.
Yes.
Everything.
Music or aesthetic?
Everything. No.
Aesthetic. Everything.
Their costumes were all metal or metallic.
The fucking locations, everything is made out of metal. All of the weapons, like there was so much metal. I started to get a headache. I was like, am I getting like alloy poisoning? Because like, why? First of all, Ben Affleck is way too fucking old. He would be like, ow, my back after every fucking fall on anything metal. It just, I get it that it went with the vibe, but I would have liked to see some like unique, like, this is a random kind of throw to not really a superhero, but like Mortal Kombat puts me in different locations where I'm like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. I'm expecting these people to fight in a fucking underground metal sewer trap. Like, I don't know. It just was too much metal for my liking.
Coming soon to HBO Max.
Mortal Kombat. I had an ex-boyfriend write on one of the original Mortal Kombats or something. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to it. Get over here. That's all I know.
Yeah, did he write the song? What if he wrote the Mortal Kombat song?
Oh my God.
Downplaying that.
I'd still be with him. Are you kidding me? That money?
Yeah, that
I'm
dude
not
is a
stupid.
billionaire.
By the way, did you notice that Superman, like the most powerful being, an alien, like he just was buried in the ground like a normal motherfucker?
I had so many issues with
buried
that.
in a normal graveyard.
Yeah.
That was pretty weird.
Yeah.
Well, because he's
He's a human, right?
He's a human.
Yeah.
It's like it's up to the family on what they want to do with his body, and it's just
You would
like,
think security.
Yeah, there should be some security.
Bitch, the Brady Bunch house in North Hollywood is guarded by 24-hour, 7 days a week, 365 security. You're going to tell me Superman's grave isn't being watched over by like at least a drone?
I think it's about importance because the Fast and Furious house is not guarded when it should be over the fucking Brady Bunch house.
Probably because it's in
house.
like Inglewood, right?
It's in East LA.
Yeah, they're like, we're not going over there.
Go over there.
Yeah.
That's the place that needs the most guarding. I'm going to steal everything.
No, the neighbors have got that shit guarded. They're like, yeah, come on our property. I dare you.
A guilt that's also a pleasure. This movie does one of my favorite things and the least believable things in any movie, which is you have characters standing around a table, the camera's just panning left to right the entire time, and they start finishing each other's sentences. And that's how they kind of discover the main plot of the movie. It's so fun.
God.
It's so stupid, but I love it. I always laugh.
But do you know what the moment that it worked and I was like, thank God, and if this is kind of a guilt in the way that it needed to be written like this, is when, spoiler, Cyborg's dad sacrifices himself because you're like, wait, why did he just blow up because of the box? And then Cyborg comes in and sees this equation written on the glass and it's like, oh my God, he wasn't trying to sacrifice himself. He was trying to heat up the box. And thank God Batman was like, oh, he's trying to heat up the box because then we could put a sensor on it so that we can track it down. And oh my God. And I was like, thank God he said that because I would have never.
Thank you for explaining.
Yeah, that says a little bit of guilt. I was like, you really had to say it, not show it in that instance.
Yeah. Yeah.
My final guilt. La, la, la. Every time Wonder Woman came on screen, anytime any of them. So the whole score was redone by Junkie XL, and I know that this moment.
And Hans Zimmer.
No, he did the original. Junkie came on and like redid it all. I think. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. But I know people online have been blasting that moment especially. But it is every time she does anything, every time the camera cuts to her, la, 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 and she's not Lebanese. I don't know what this song inspiration is.
I couldn't tell if it was Amazonians or if it was those women from Iceland who sang Aquaman off into the water. I was like, oh, is it my girls? No, it's just Amazonians.
Well, it's hard to know what else to say about this movie. I kind of feel like you know, like when you smoke a lot of weed and then it's like 6 hours later and you're just tired. Like I went through such a rush, such a high, and now I'm just kind of defeated by it. But I did enjoy it. I lived in this crazy world of a movie that shouldn't exist, but I'm kind of glad it does.
Yeah. And for that, I think I can recommend to people, especially if you guys have no idea what the fuck any of us are talking about. Neither did I 24 hours ago. Look how much I've changed. I know what a cyborg is. I know who Luke's Lether is. What's his name?
Lex Luthor.
Wow.
You made me fuck it up.
Wow.
Luke Lexer.
I almost had it.
Lex Luthor.
Played by Jesse Eisenberg, which I don't care. That should have never happened. Jesse Eisenberg playing an adult villain and not a tiny child boy. That is my biggest guilt. But I feel like I want to recommend this movie to people. It's like break it up, watch it in 2 days, make it a double feature date night. I don't fucking know. And you don't have to know shit about shit to watch it.
Watch it like a TV show. It's six episode
watch it in 6 parts. Watch it like a miniseries.
The first 3 hours flew by for me.
Disagree.
I think there's two types of people. There's two types of people. There's the one who loves the first half or the first 3 hours of the Snyder Cut, and those who hate the last hour, and those who hate the first 3 hours and love the last hour.
Until Ezra Miller came in, I was like, I wanted to stop watching. Once Ezra Miller jumped in and saved a girl and poked a hot dog out of the air and fed a hot dog to dogs, I was on board.
Yeah, because isn't she the Flash's love interest in the next movie?
She's Iris, I believe.
I think I read somewhere last night that that's going to be his love interest in the Flash movie.
Believe it. Should be.
Yeah.
I guess my final word on this is like, it's easy to forget how good Zack Snyder is at a very specific type of action filming. And I think he really is at his best when he is filming things like a comic. And you know, as Garrick mentioned, this feels like a long comic, but I also mean his action scenes feel like comic panels. He does these slow motion vignettes that are just beautifully composed, almost like murals in like old tombs.
I was explaining this to a friend where I was just like, yeah, it is like watching like watching stained glass portraits of this movie. Like if you were to put this movie in stained glass or whatever, you'd be like, oh yeah, this tracks. This is the slow-mo shot of him touching the sword, blah blah blah. Or if you just took different stills from it and put like thought bubbles.
For better or for worse, everyone else is out here making stories about humans. Zack Snyder is making murals about gods.
Oh, wow. That was epic. Zack, sometimes I think you're just a try guy, and then you say shit like that, and I'm like, he's so much more. He's a writer. He's a writer. We don't give enough credit.
He went to college.
Yeah.
I can't believe you can read. That's the most surprising thing I've learned today. Okay, so do we say if it's a guilty pleasure or guilty pleasure?
Yeah, I mean, I believe this is still an absolute guilty pleasure, if only because... because if you say that you like this movie, you need to tell people I like the Snyder Cut. And that is, you have to hold a little bit of guilt with you because of that.
Okay, well then I'm going to piggyback right off of that and say I liked the fucking Snyder Cut. This is a pleasure. Because you know what? 300 and Sucker Punch are one of my favorite movies. Sucker Punch was the background on my desktop for so long. I had no idea who Zack Snyder is. I'm a proud Snyder baby. I'm a Snyder snuffer. I want to be a Snyder snuffer, and I think this is a pleasure.
And you know what, Kelsey? Yeah. The scent of the mother box is all over you.
Ooh, thank you. I have a great relationship with my mom.
So if comics are modern day mythology and are myths or whatever, this was the closest to making that on screen. I think that this is an absolute pleasure. If anything is a guilty pleasure, I think that you can watch it multiple times and not feel bad about watching it multiple times. This one you can probably take twice and you'd still enjoy yourself, I think. So I wouldn't be able to call it a guilty pleasure. I don't think that anybody can.
Does that
It's just a pleasure.
Yeah!
That means I'm outnumbered.
It's just a pleasure.
Yeah.
Just a pleasure. Watch it once, take it in as an experience, and then put it aside. Know that it is a good thing. And then read some comic books, man.
Also, we just have to point out that we're all wearing green. And if that doesn't mean we're subconsciously the cutest trio you ever did see.
Like in this movie, our boxes are sinking. That's a real thing that they say. And I feel like we didn't talk nearly enough about how vaginal it was. Like it really, really, really
I want to be the box that
boxes.
I want to be the box that was with the squid.
I'll be the box that was buried in dirt.
You're just a man.
I'm just a man.
Well, I got something a very exciting surprise for you guys and for the audience before we end this episode.
I love surprises.
We love a surprise. One of our listeners and good friend of the Try Guys universe, Sabrina, wrote us a song. And when I tell you that it is a certified banger, like I'm talking dope,
like a Justin Bieber
vibes.
album.
Honestly, it might be better.
I want to hear.
Like, I got my peaches down in Georgia, but Sabrina's got my guilty pleasures right here. So we're going to let her play us out with that. But before we play that song, I'm at Corn Diddy. Tell your friends about the show. Rate it 5 stars. It helps people find it, so we do appreciate it. Kelsey?
I'm Kelsey Darragh on all the things, and check out justiceforsoraya.com. Garrick?
I'm Garrick Bernard on Instagram. I'll figure out how to get Garrick Bernard on Twitter.
We will do it for you.
I can do that. I can make that happen. I know
Zack
somebody.
has people.
I'm a track guy.
I'm signing off. Goodbye.
All right, listen to this song, and you guys can watch us in Glee. We will link this song in the description below, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy. Thanks for listening. Join us next week when the wonderful Elle Mills will be with us to discuss her favorite, the Lizzie McGuire movie. For those who want to watch along, it is streaming on Disney+.
I have many guilty pleasures, but you're my favorite one. You make me feel good and then go off the rails. I can't help myself. You know I'll come back for more. You were my guilty. You were my guilty. You were my guilty pleasure. You're too good. You're too good. You're too good. My guilty pleasure. I have many guilty pleasures, but you're my favorite one. You